All right, you guys. I was making my video for this, and I got to the end of it, and apparently it stopped recording after the first 13 seconds. So we're gonna go through this a little bit quicker the second time around. So maybe to your advantage. But anyways, we're gonna do some more complicated examples with the 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90 triangles. So make sure you pay attention. A couple of new methods here that I'm going to show you. So, and we're also going to skip any problem that is not necessary. So for number one, we're going to do, so I'm going to set up a little chart here. So it's helpful when you're working with these problems to set up a chart. So x square root 2, and this is what I showed you for the other one, or for the last video that you watched. Okay, so we know that the hypotenuse is 18. Okay, so in order to figure out what x is, we're going to set up a little equation. We're going to say x square root 2 equals 18. And then in order to solve for x, we're going to divide both sides by the square root of 2. Now the problem is that there's a rule in math where you can't have any rational number in the denominator. So there's this method that we call rationalize the denominator. Rationalize the denominator. So since the square root of 2 and the square root of 3 are both irrational numbers, we have to make it rational. And in order to do that, what we're going to do is multiply the square root of 2 by the square root of 2, because that'll just give us regular 2. But whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So we're not just going to multiply the denominator by the square root of 2, but we're going to multiply by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2, because this is technically just 1. Okay, so doing this will give us 18 square root 2 over, and then square root 2 times square root 2 is just 2 because the square roots cancel out. And then there's one last thing to do. You can see that the 18 and 2 will simplify to be 9 square root 2. So 9 square root 2 and 9 square root 2. And now there's a little pattern that some of you might like to use, is that if x square root 2 is equal to 18, then x is going to be half of 18 times the square root of 2. Okay, because that's just the math that we did over here. So that's a little trick you can use. Okay, number 2 is not a new question, so we're going to skip it. You should already know how to solve that. Number 3 is also not a new question. So if 11 square root 2 equals x squared 2, then y would be equal to 11. And then, And then this one is also not new. So here, but maybe I'll just go over it real quick. So if you get x square root 3 and 2x. Okay, if 2x is your hypotenuse, it's 14. That means that x is half of it, 7. X square root 3, your long leg, which is y, is 7 square root 3. And then the only next question that would be new is number 18. So we're going to skip over to 18. And there's actually not a number 7 through 17, so you're not missing anything there. All right, so here I'm going to set up a table because we've got two different, well, they're not different triangles, they're the same, but we've got x square root 2. All right, so we know that the hypotenuse here, so we've got this 45, 45, 90 triangle, the hypotenuse is 20, which means that b is also going to be 20. So b is 20, and then to get a, which is one of your x's, we're going to do what we did for the first question and say that x squared root 2 equals 20. So divide both sides by the square root of 2. We'll rationalize the denominator by multiplying by square root 2 over square root 2. And we're going to have a whole lesson at the end of the year on rationalizing denominators and stuff like that, so you'll learn a lot more about this later. So we'll do 20 square root 2 over 2, which simplifies to 10 square root 2, which follows the same pattern as the first question where you take half of 20 and multiply by the square root 2. Okay, so that means that a is 10 square root 2, and then c is going to be twice that, which is 20 square root 2. All right, let's do number 19. So here we have a 45, 45, 90, x square root 2. And they set it up nice for us. Hypotenuse is 18 square root 2, which just means that x equals 18. Therefore, A equals 18. And we need to know that so we can solve this 30, 60, 90 triangle. I'm going to do that one. So remember the chart for 30, 60, 90 is x square root 3, and 2x. Okay, so my long leg, which is opposite of the 60 degrees, is the x square root 3. So that's going to be the 18. And then we're going to have to do what we did for the last questions and solve for x. So we'll do x square root 3 equals 18. Square root 3 over square root 3. Rationalize the denominator. So you get 18 square root 3 over 3, which simplifies to 6 square root 3, because 18 over 3 is 6. Now for this one, you're not taking half of 18 and multiplying by square root 3. You're taking a third of 18 and multiplying it by 3, because we're working with square root 3. So 6 square root 3. And then to figure out which is equal to b, to figure out the hypotenuse c, you're just going to take x and multiply it by 2, which would be 12 square root 3. So that gives you c. Okay, for the, you've got one last question, so I really speeded through this. Let's see how fast Mrs. Billett can go through these questions. So I'm going to leave 21 for you for extra credit, so you can copy that one down. But for 20, we'll actually go over that one together. So if you want to do 21, just do the work on a piece of paper, take a picture of it, email it to me. If you're an e-learner, if you're in person, then you just turn it in class. All right, so for 20, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break this diagram up into a rectangle and a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So here, I'm going to set up our chart, x square root 3, and 2x. So my hypotenuse is 10 square root 3. So if 2x is equal to 10 square root 3, we could set up a little equation here if you're not sure. All we need to do is divide by 2. Divide by 2, you get 5 square root 3. So x is going to be 5 square root 3, which if I place it in my diagram is going to be this part right here. And just make a note that 30 is the whole thing, right? So to figure out b, you would just need to take 30 and subtract from 5 square root 3. So b is equal to 30 minus 5 square root 3. And you can't simplify that because they're not like terms, so you would just leave your answer like that. And to figure out the a, that's the same as this part right here, the long leg. So the long leg, we're going to take, so the long leg is x times the square root of 3. So we're going to take x, which is 5 square root of 3, and multiply that by the square root of 3. So I'm going to do that in purple here. So 5 square root 3 times the square root of 3 is going to be 5 times 3, because square root 3 times square root 3 is just 3. Square roots cancel out, which gives you 15. So 15 is equal to A. All right, so solving 21 is pretty similar method. Okay, so go ahead and give that a try and turn it in for 2 bonus points if you get both A and B correct. All right, so that is the end of this lesson. Hope you guys have a great day.